Hello everyone, welcome to Herbology. This is week 6. We are going to be discussing protection, fertility, and happiness plants today. I realized that there was something that I haven't addressed, or rather mentioned, in the past 2 classes that I really needed to say. First of all, the herbs and spices that I'm giving you in these classes, for examples for which ones are associated with which magical properties, in no way is this a complete list. I just wanted to be really clear about that. These are merely just some suggestions, just a few of them that are fairly easy to get, whether it's just an easy to grow plant or an easy to purchase plant or herb or spice. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that this is not a complete list by any means at all. And what I will do is once we get to the end of, not the class we're in, but the next class, I'll actually provide you a couple of links to some really good books in our sister server that do have really good complete lists. Like I said, here I'm just trying to kind of get you started, just some ideas of different herbs and spices that will work for these magical properties. Okay, so let's get into class updates. As of right now, we are officially caught up. Thank goodness. I felt so terrible about having us so far behind. So we are officially caught up. The lesson that I'm releasing today for you all is the one for this week. So we are completely caught up. So moving forward, we're on track. We will not have our Saturday recap session tomorrow. This video should be released on Friday, February 26th. So tomorrow, February 27th, we will not have our recap session. The reason is because I have been hoarding these videos, these class videos for like 2 weeks now, just trying to finalize them. So I know that everyone is going to be trying to catch up on all these videos. So instead, next week, next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, we'll recap everything. Expect that to be a really big recap session. Also, since we've already gone over several plants between the last 2 classes, we're starting to repeat plants. And instead of covering them again, I'm just going to reference you back to those, because with all the classes I'm releasing, I know that it's a lot of material at one time. So I'm trying to condense these classes as much as I can. That'll make more sense as we're going through today. You'll see what I'm referring to. So let's just get started. So today we're talking about protection, fertility, and happiness. So the protection plants. Peppermint is a good one. It's super easy to grow, very easy to grow indoors. If you have like indoor potted plants, it works well for that. One thing about it though, and I meant to mention this earlier with our spearmint plant, is that it's very, very difficult to distinguish the mint plants because there's so many different ones. Really, the only way to distinguish them is by smell, and that can sometimes be really hard. What I suggest is to just make sure that you're properly labeling not only your plants in containers, but also your dried herbs if you're choosing to dry them. That way they're not getting mixed up. Another protection herb is Angelica. And Angelica is pretty easy to grow and has a variety of ways to be used. And this brings to mind something else that I've forgotten to mention. Some of these plants, this is a good example of it, just growing them around your home or in your home is enough for them to release their magical properties. So with this plant in particular, with Angelica, if you plant it around the exterior of your home, it will help protect your home. So that's just something else I wanted to mention that will work for multiple types of herbs and plants. Okay, so the next one is garlic. And garlic is very, very common. Of course, you can purchase it at the store, but it's very common in vegetable gardens. And it's also used in a variety of ways. You can use a whole clove, you can mince it, you can make it into a powder. There's a ton of different ways to use garlic. Another one is bay. And in witchcraft, we use bay leaves a lot. They're really wonderful for a lot of different spells, and you'll see them a lot as you're progressing through your practice and your craft. Technically, bay is a tree or a large shrub, and it's fairly easy to grow. It will need some space. This one's really easy to harvest as well and works perfectly for drying. That one's a great protection plant. And for other things. It works for other things as well. So also for protection, we've talked about a few other plants, herbs, and spices that we've mentioned in other classes. So I won't go over those again because you're already familiar with them. Cinnamon, marjoram, pepper, and basil would be those. Okay, so next let's talk about fertility herbs and spices. And actually some of the most common ones we've actually already talked about in our classes in the class that we're in. So just so that you know, I'm not going to cover them again, but they're coriander, peppermint, and cinnamon. So if you want to know more about those, I think peppermint's earlier in this class, but the other two are in the previous classes. And next is happiness. So a new one that we haven't discussed yet is feverfew. And one thing about feverfew, it's easy to grow, super easy to grow. You'll find it in the wild a lot in the U.S. and in Europe, I believe. But it's often confused with chamomile. So just be careful with that. If you choose to grow feverfew in your garden along with chamomile, you'll want to make sure that you're very clearly distinguishing between the two, because at a glance, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. Other happiness herbs are cinnamon and peppermint. We've already discussed those. So again, no focus questions for these weeks that we're doing these classes about the magical herbs and spices. Instead, what I'd like you to do is just try to take the time to familiarize yourself with the appearance of the plants, herbs, and spices, and what they're used for. That is what you can expect on the quizzes. Okay, so now since we are officially caught up, now we can start talking about what to expect in the coming week. So next week, what you can expect on Monday, I'll be releasing the quizzes over the weeks that I have just released. So everything that I've released this week, and I know it's a lot, guys. I know it's a lot. But because of that, there's going to be no reading assignment and no additional homework or anything next week. We're going to spend the week just kind of getting back on track next week. So next week, I want you to focus on, doing the quizzes as you're able to watch the videos. They should be pretty short and sweet at this point. So just work on videos, quizzes. And then on Wednesday, I'll release our next video class. And that'll be the last class of the semester where we're going to be talking about specific magical properties and the herbs associated with them. Then on Saturday of next week, we are going to be doing a huge recap session. Q&A, check-in, all of that. I'll be going over everything that was released the week that we're in at this point. And I know it's a lot. I'm so sorry, guys. I hate to do that to you. But we're going to get it all caught up. We're going to make sure everyone's on the same page. I just want to make sure that everything that I wanted to cover gets covered so that we can have it on the final exam, for the final exam game that we're going to do. So we're officially all caught up. Thank goodness. I'm so excited that we are. And I apologize for taking so long to do that. But now we're on track. So next week is going to be a little bit of a tough week. We got a lot of material for all of the students, for all of you to go back over. But we're going to get it. So if you're finding that you're running out of time next week or you've got a lot going on, don't worry about it. I know that everyone has their own lives, and we've got personal things going on in real life. We've got regular classes and so on and so forth. Your real life, your real mental health, all of that takes priority, okay? This stuff is going to be here. It's not going anywhere. Obviously, if you want to participate in the final game and have a chance to win one of the prizes, you'll want to do all this before that day. But otherwise, don't stress yourself out, guys. I'm not going to take this down. It's going to be here, okay? All right, well, you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will catch up with you on Monday with releasing quizzes, class on Wednesday, recap on Saturday next week, guys. Thanks.